Good morning, I'm Joel Senick. Each year, several thousand people gather at the Field of Crosses on November 11th to remember the lives lost. The Field of Crosses was the inspiration of businessman and philanthropist Murray McCann while visiting the city of Menlo, Georgia. He was deeply moved by how that community honored their fallen and brought the idea back here to Calgary. Well, the display comes together each November thanks to the hard work of hundreds of volunteers. They help put up more than 3,600 crosses along Memorial Drive to pay tribute to the thousands who died defending our freedom. Their work includes cleaning each cross, installing bases, and putting the crosses up. Calgary's first Field of Crosses was in 2009, and for the first 10 years, Murray McCann actually paid for the display himself. Now, as a nonprofit, it counts on support from the community. And I spoke with Murray earlier this week about his passion for the project. Murray, the Field of Crosses Memorial Project, it obviously means so much to so many people. For you, what does it mean to you?
Joel, it overwhelms me as to how Calgarians have taken on the Field of Crosses and remember wars that happened a long time ago are brought back, the sacrifices made by so many that give us the freedoms. Like you and I have never had to worry about going to war or the freedom, so we take it for granted. But boy, there was a big price paid.
When you walk amongst the crosses, what do you think about? What do you reflect on?
You know, Joel, I look at those crosses and there's the names. And if you'll stop in front of a cross, it'll talk to you. You look at the name 18, obviously a son, and you think of that family that was deprived of a son. You think of the fear that that young man had when he went off to war so far from home. And it's overwhelming. Like you can, we encourage people to stop and listen to that cross. And there's no happy stories, but it makes us realize what others have done for us.
As we look in the years ahead, what sort of legacy do you hope this project continues to carry on into the future?
Well, I hope we never again forget. When we started this project, the best guess of even the Legion was there'd be 850 that lost their lives in southern Alberta, from southern Alberta. Joel, there's 3,620. We had forgotten 2,800 of them already. So that'll never happen again in southern Alberta.
Murray, thank you so much for your work over the years on this.
Well, you're very welcome, but it's given me great pleasure, Joel.
Well, from November 1st to the 11th, people are invited to walk through the Field of Crosses, a 5-acre memorial which is lit 24/7. Each cross is inscribed with the name, rank, regiment, date of death, and age at death of a southern Alberta soldier killed in action. In addition, 120 other unique crosses are also on display in a separate part of the park. It's a special memorial to the 120,000 heroes from across Canada who lost their lives fighting for our country. And on the eve of Remembrance Day, the fallen are also honored with a night of lights. Last night, volunteers, including students from St. Mary's University, lit candles and placed them in front of the 3,620 crosses. The lanterns were left to burn until sunrise this morning. A beautiful sight to take in and a very touching way to pay tribute to the lives lost. We're going to take you live now to the Field of Crosses. The Calgary Fire Department pipes and drums are making their way along the route as they begin this morning's ceremony with the traditional parade march. Our very own Linda Olsen will guide us through this year's Field of Crosses ceremony, leading us through the observance as Calgary remembers.
I didn't even recognize you, Violet.
So long.
Good morning. My name is Linda Olsen, and it is my honor to be MC for today's Remembrance Day ceremony here at the Field of Crosses in Calgary. It is here that over 3,600 crosses stand each year to memorialize individuals from southern Alberta who made the ultimate sacrifice during active duty in service to Canada during times of war, conflict, and peace. On Remembrance Day, Canadians pause to honor and give thanks for those of every generation who have served Canada at sea, on land, and in the air. In this year, marking the 80th anniversary of the Dieppe Raid and the 105th anniversary of the Battle of Vimy Ridge, we pay special tribute to those who demonstrated the strength, determination, and will that was necessary to face the hardships of those campaigns. Today, we gather to honor and never forget the sacrifice of many. We gather on the land known as Mohkinstsis, where the Bow River meets the Elbow River. This is the traditional territory of the Niitsitapi, or Blackfoot people, who make up the peoples of the Treaty 7 region in southern Alberta. We acknowledge these nations who make their home on this land, including the Siksika, the Piikani, the Kainai, the Tsuut'ina, and the Îyârhe Nakoda people, which includes the Chiniki, Bearspaw, and Wesley First Nations. The city of Calgary is also home to the Métis Nation of Alberta, Region 3. The Field of Crosses honors the significant contribution of many First Nations service members who are commemorated here in the field and acknowledges their service and sacrifice. Canteri Children's Choir, under the direction of Catherine Glauser-Climie, will lead us now in the singing of our national anthem.
Our home and native land.
Catherine Glauser-Climie will offer a blessing for our troops.
I invite all of you wishing to join me in prayer, based on your own individual beliefs, to turn your hearts now to the God of your own faith, or to take this moment for personal reflection. Hold our troops and our veterans in your loving hands. Protect them as they protected and protect us. Comfort those who mourn, those who have died in the line of duty. Heal the wounds, both physical and mental, experienced by service members. Bless them and their families for the selfless acts of courage and sacrifice for our nation and for oppressed peoples all around the world.
The horrors of the First World War released a great outburst of emotional poetry from the soldiers who fought in it. One of the most well-known poems was written by Canadian medic Dr. John McCrae in Ypres, Belgium, in May 1915, as a response to the death of McCrae's close friend killed in battle. Murray McCann, founder of the Field of Crosses, will recite In Flanders Fields.
In Flanders fields, the poppies blow. Between the crosses, row on row that mark our place. And in the sky, the lark still bravely singing flies, scarce heard amid the guns below. We are the dead. Short days ago we lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow, loved and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders field. Take up our quarrel with the foe. To you, with failing hands we throw the torch. Be yours to hold it high. If ye lose faith with us who die, we shall not sleep, though poppies grow in Flanders fields.
Courage, determination, sacrifice, perseverance are all words that describe those who pledge to serve their country in uniform. These ideals were eloquently expressed in a text by Sir Cecil Springs Rice and set to music by Gustav Holst. Cantari Children's Choir will sing, I Vow to Thee, My Country. Cards that identify important battles in Canada's proud history of service will be displayed.
Country, all earthly things above, entire and whole and perfect, the service of my love, the love that asks no questions, the love that stands the test, that lays upon the altar the dearest and the best, the love that never falters, the love that pays the price, the love that makes undaunted the fight. country calling away across the sea, across the waste of waters. She calls and calls to me. Her sword is girded at her side, her helmet on her head, and round her feet are lying the dying and the dead. I hear the noise of battle, the thunder of her guns. I haste to thee, my mother, a son among the sons. Oh, the road has bends and turns, and my spirit suffers. Humans fail, systems fail, shadows fall. But the rods run deep, cut by the blood of faces above, and voices now silent, but the message loud is heard. Homeland, homeland, renew your youth, restore your soul. Homeland, the country that I love, hold out your arms to me. I strive for you and give you the best I hope to be. May your wisdom be your armor, your compassion be your sword. May your strength be forged with mercy, your courage lives restore. Homeland, the country that I love, forever reign supreme. And when time stands still, my homeland, may heaven hold your dream. My homeland, be my dream. My homeland, homeland, homeland.
British poet Rupert Brooke wrote a set of 5 sonnets in the autumn of 1914, just after the outbreak of the First World War. They express the hopeful idealism and enthusiasm with which Britain entered the war. Brooke had just completed his studies at Cambridge University and had joined the Royal Navy Volunteer Reserve. Celine Omar from Cantari Children's Choir will present Sonnet 4, entitled The Dead.
Sonnet 4, The Dead. from the 5 Sonnets, 1914, by Rupert Brooke. These hearts were woven of human joys and cares, washed marvelously with sorrow, swift to mirth. The years had given them kindness. Dawn was theirs, and a sunset, and the colors of the earth. These had seen movement and heard music, known slumber and waking, loved, gone proudly friended, felt the quick stir of wonder, sat alone, touched flowers and furs and cheeks. All this is ended. There are waters blown by changing winds to laughter and lit by the rich skies all day. And after, frost, with a gesture, stays the waves that dance and wandering loveliness. He leaves a white, unbroken glory, a gathered radiance, a width, a shining peace under the night.
Fire Chief Steve Dongworth of the Calgary Fire Department will lead us in the act of remembrance, followed by the commitment to remember, presented by Cantari Children's Choir.
Thank you. The response is, we will remember them. They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
On all the oceans, white caps flow. There are no crosses, row on row. But they who sleep beneath the seas rest in peace, for our land is free. We will remember them.
We will remember them. They were young, as we are young. They served, giving freely of themselves. To them we pledge amid the winds of time to carry their torch and never forget. We will remember them.
We will remember them.
This year marks the 105th anniversary of the Battle of Vimy Ridge, which was fought April 1917 during the First World War. Canadian forces took and held the ridge, a strategic high point near the town of Arras in northeast France. Regiments from coast to coast, which made up the 4 divisions of the Canadian Expeditionary Force, fought side by side for the first time under a united Canadian command, and in a distinctly Canadian triumph, helped create a new and stronger sense of national identity in our country. Canada's military achievements raised our international stature and helped earn us a separate signature on the Treaty of Versailles that formally ended the war. But the Battle of Vimy Ridge came at a heavy cost. The 100,000 Canadians who served there suffered 10,600 casualties, nearly 3,600 of which were fatal. 4 of our soldiers would earn the Victoria Cross, including Private John Pattison, who is acknowledged here at the Field of Crosses. Today, on land granted to Canada for all time by a grateful France, the Canadian National Vimy Memorial sits atop Hill 145 as a tribute to all who served our country in the conflict and paid a price to help ensure the peace and freedom we enjoy today. This great monument is inscribed with the names of 11,285 Canadian soldiers. Our bugler, Master Seaman Shepherd, will sound the last post. During the silence, we will remember the nearly 120,000 Canadians who fell serving this great country, and especially the 3,600 Southern Albertans who are remembered in the Field of Crosses. Piper Derek Docherty will play the traditional lament, Flowers of the Forest, which is followed by Rouse.
Right, stand eat.
We now await the fly past of a Canadian Armed Forces CF-18 fighter jet. You may take this time for personal reflection. Canada's experiences in war have been marked by great triumphs, but also by harsh setbacks. 80 years ago, the Dieppe raid was one of the darkest chapters in our country's military history. August 1942. The Second World War had been raging for almost 3 years. The situation looked grim. Nazi Germany had pushed deep into the Soviet Union. Enemy forces were advancing in North Africa. The British Isles were the only Allied holdout after the Germans had invaded and occupied almost the entirety of Western Europe in 1940. Those who lived in occupied countries were in desperate need of hope that some help was coming. Codenamed Operation Jubilee, the Dieppe raid intended to have more than 6,000 men, mostly Canadians, come ashore at 5 different points along a 16-kilometer stretch of heavily defended coastline. The operation was meant to hold the town for several days, destroy German fortifications, and then withdraw, a test of whether an Allied landing in occupied France was feasible. But the invading forces lost the element of surprise, were underpowered, and heavy casualties resulted. 916 Canadians lost their lives. 2,210 were wounded. 1,946 were taken prisoner and faced especially harsh treatment in prisoner of war camps and would remain in captivity for more than 2.5 years. While the losses were heavy and the raid did not meet its objectives, many historians feel that the lessons learned were essential to the success of the D-Day landings on the beaches of Normandy in June 1944. The soldiers in our first roll call are those who sacrificed their lives at the Dieppe raid in 1942. Private William Lorne Cameron, 35. Trooper Reinhard Carl Cornelson, 30. Private Joseph Patrick Flanagan. Trooper Earl Hutchcroft, 21. Captain Theodore Marie Insinger, 47. Lieutenant William Jacob Orr, 30. Captain Douglas Gordon Purdy, 22. Lance Corporal John Williams, 22. Trooper Michael Felix Zima, 26.
After the guns are silent, after your wounds have healed, after those crosses been planted in all those fields, after that our boat tried all the way across the sea, and after this train carries thee, I will love you after the war. I will love you for always, forevermore. I will love you after the war, forever, for always and more.
This roll call includes some of the Southern Albertans who died in the First World War in the Battle of Vimy Ridge in April 1917. Private Claude Henry Albert, 35. Private Karanus Anderson, 33. Private Anderton Atkinson, 31. Private Lancelot Maurice Atwood, 32. Private Kenneth Bailey, 20. Private Ernest Earl Betts, 27. Sergeant George Falconer Blake, 38. Lieutenant Harry Morris Blois, 27. Private James Herbert Brading, 25. Lieutenant William Edward Lee Broad, 24. Private Aaron Brown, 21. Private James Brown, 36. Sergeant Alex Cathro, 26.
After your boots dried and the tobacco's all but gone, along with the postcards you carried under your arm, after I remembered all the words I couldn't say, and after this long night fades away, I will love you after
This roll call includes more names of those who died in the First World War in the Battle of Vimy Ridge. Private Ernest Harold Caswell, 21. Major John Francis Costigan. Private Avery Coughlin, 28. Private John Crooks, 38. Private William Francis Dixon, 25. Private William James Downing, 27. Lieutenant Alexander Dower, 36. Lieutenant Everett Boyd Jackson Follis, 21. Private Henry Arthur Fletcher, 21. Lieutenant Donald Bracci Forbes, 31. Sergeant Andrew Graham, 35. Private Ivan Leslie Gray, 18.
After this blackbird lifts off from off your chest, and after your soul takes its final rest, my love, I forgive you. You never planned to die, and I will place 2 pennies o'er your eyes. I will love you after the war. I will love you always and forevermore. I will love you after the war, forever, always, and
Wreaths will be laid in honor of those who gave the supreme sacrifice. Today, wreaths will be laid on behalf of the following: Canada, Province of Alberta, City of Calgary, Memorial Cross Parents, Royal Canadian Navy, Canadian Army, Royal Canadian Air Force, Royal Canadian Mounted Police, Alberta Health Services, EMS, Calgary Police Service, Calgary Fire, Field of Crosses, YPRA 3rd Unit Canadian Army Veterans, the Bittman family, Carol and Murray McCann. As the wreaths are laid, we invite Caleb Nelson and Graham Climie, together with Cantari Children's Choir, to sing The Parting Glass, a Scottish-Irish folk song often sung at the parting of friends.
Of all the money that e'er I had, I spent it in good company, and of all the harm that e'er I've done, alas, it was to none but me. And all I've done for want of wit to memory now I can't recall. So fill to me the parting glass. Good night and joy. that ere I had this story for my going away, and of all the sweethearts that ere I had, they would wish me one more day to stay. But since it falls unto my lot that I should rise, but you should not, I will gently rise and I'll softly call. Good night and joy be with you all. A man may drink and not be drunk. A man may fight and not be slain. A man may court a pretty girl and perhaps be welcome home again. But since it has so ordered been a time to rise and a time to fall, so fill to me your parting glass. Good night and joy be with you all. So fill to me your parting glass. Good night and joy be with you all.
Let us all join Cantari Children's Choir in the singing of the royal anthem, God Save the King.
Pray and turn, jump.
God save our gracious King, long live our noble King. God save the King. Send him victorious, happy and glorious, long to reign over us. God save the King.
To conclude the formal part of our Remembrance Day program, we invite Cantari Children's Choir to sing White Cliffs of Dover. This song was popular in 1942 as the words looked toward a time when the war would be over and peace would rule over the iconic White Cliffs, Britain's symbolic border with the European mainland. Join along with the chorus if you know the words. The Calgary Fire Department pipes and drums will then march out. You're asked to remain in place until the pipes and drums have marched out. Thank you for watching the Field of Crosses Remembrance Day ceremony.
Never forget the home again, and Jimmy will go to sleep in his own little room again. There'll be bluebirds over the white gray soaked over tomorrow. Just you wait and see.
You have been watching the Field of Crosses ceremony live here on Global, a somber ceremony, an important ceremony, as Calgary remembers on this Remembrance Day. Now, all of the touching pieces of the Field of Crosses couldn't come together without the support of volunteers. One group of motorcycle veterans has been working diligently for more than a decade, setting up the Field of Crosses. And while they're passionate about their work, they're now passing along their knowledge to a younger generation to keep the tribute alive in the years to come. Here's Tracy Nagai.
Their love of the road is what sets them apart.
I really enjoy it. It's like another family.
But this tribute, honoring those who made the ultimate sacrifice, is what brings them together.
Our CAV unit just grabbed onto it, and it's been our baby.
The 3rd CAV Motorcycle Unit, a group of veterans, has been vital to the setup of the Field of Crosses, volunteering their time, doing grueling work ahead of Remembrance Day. Each of these crosses requires a base to be marked and then drilled into the ground. The project growing from 500 to 3,600 crosses over the years.
It isn't easy. This lot that we're on is has an old car lot, and there's concrete in the ground, and we have to drill holes through the concrete. And it doesn't seem to matter how many years we do this, we can never find the same holes.
But now reinforcements have arrived. Some 30 police officers taking up the torch, learning how to properly install this touching tribute.
They're great to work with. They're a fantastic group who are really dedicated and committed to this cause. Their mentorship has been worth its weight in gold for us.
You get people like me down there up and down all day, and by the end of the day it's very hard to get back up again. So we need the younger people out to do it.
Labor of love now passed along to a new group of people.
I think that's hard for us to let go a little bit, but also knowing that we have a great group that's going to take it on and can take it to the future, that's really important to all of us.
Allowing people to come here and remember in the years to come. Tracy Nagai, Global News.
The mission and the commitment of the Field of Crosses Memorial Organization is to assure that present and future generations always remember and never forget the thousands of men and women from across Canada who gave their tomorrows for our today. Thank you for being part of Calgary Remembers from the Field of Crosses. We want to leave you with a shot of Vimy Ridge, the monument in France, as again, Calgary remembers on this Remembrance Day.